Hello, I'm Ben Hennessey. This is my studio in Anstown, County Waterford. And at the minute, I'm working on a series of drawings that I hope to exhibit in November 2021. But at the moment, I'm just kind of trying to investigate notions of painting in a painting. I've been using watercolor pencils where I put a base down with the pencils and kind of turn them into paint and kind of watercolor, and then I work over those in kind of oils. So most of my work, I suppose, would be with oil paint on canvas and these watercolor kind of drawings on paper. I've been here in this studio now for 13 years, and I also have a little studio in town in Waterford City because this one overflowed. And so the problem, of course, with anybody who paints big is storing your work. So I've kind of, studio was a bit chock-a-block. And I also use the studio, I work as a set designer and theatre kind of maker, and I build lots of my theatre models here. And this lockdown, I've actually been working on a series of screenplays, writing screenplays with 14-year-old children, which we hope to produce by October of this year. So this room is kind of used as a writing room, a set-making room, and a painting studio. Also, a lot of my art books here, and it kind of becomes a little sanctuary, let's say, in the house. Surrounded by art and things I collect over the years. It's great to be involved in the Imagine Arts Festival in Waterford this year. I've a lot of time for all the lads who make that happen, voluntarily every year. It's an incredible festival, right across a whole broad range of art genres, let's say, from theatre and painting to photography, etc. So I'm delighted to be part of that this year. I suppose in my work I use a lot of mythological stories and as starting points, really. I used the image of Icarus and that story where he went too near the sun and fell into the Mediterranean Sea. And he was trying to escape an island with his father, Daedalus, who made the wings. And I just thought there was a huge parallel there to all the children and their fathers and their mothers, falling into the Mediterranean Sea to escape, the war in Syria and, the whole huge refugee crisis that we had. And I kind of tried to link the two. And I suppose that's the kind of nature of being an artist. It's very hard to justify making marks on paper and canvas without really, responding to the world around you. And this painting here was actually based on that young boy, Alan Curdy, that was washed up in Bodrum. And, I'm a father myself of 4 kids, and I couldn't look beyond, those kind of images of children being washed up, trying to make a better life for themselves. And it just seemed to me to kind of be a good parallel to the boy Icarus, chasing his dreams and falling into the Mediterranean Sea. So I kind of mixed up those kind of things, as part of the work. And you kind of do get immersed in it. When I start making the work, it already becomes about the marks I make or the paint gestures that I make, and the kind of how honest you can be with that, So I never try to disguise the fact that it's a brush mark, and somehow I think that kind of gives it more truth. And the work then becomes really like a celebration of the creative act. So like those mythological stories, somebody made those up years and years ago. And so it's a kind of celebration of storytelling, a celebration of the creative kind of process, and somehow how that can lead you to some, not quite redemption, but some way of living your life in this kind of world. I'm working towards, actually, I'm having a retrospective in 2021 of, I'll be 40 years a painter in 2021. And so I'm working on some new paintings that I'll show alongside a lot of the work that I've been doing over those years, and trying to kind of, put it into some kind of context. And that will be happening in Garta Lane Gallery and in Goma, the Gallery of Modern Art, simultaneously next November 2021. So the work I'm beginning now are kind of, I'm actually looking at doing painting in a painting, so somehow to actually go right to the core of how that creative act, can become central to the work itself, and see where that takes me. I'm also experimenting a little bit with some new materials. I use a lot of watercolour pencils and pastels, and both chalk ones and oil ones, as ways of making smaller kind of A2 size kind of drawings and smaller drawings. And then I, use those, I suppose, as ways of imagining what they might be like on a larger scale. And I eventually hope to do some really large canvases, in which case I'll be moving out of this studio into some barn somewhere. And over the years I've had to do that. I've worked in various studios, since the early 80s, and occasionally I need to kind of move into a space that allows me to create, paintings that are much bigger than myself. And as you can imagine, in a space this size, I might get away with doing one. So I generally kind of move to take a space somewhere for maybe 6 months and work on a whole series of big ones, based in some ways on these proprietary ones that I'm working on at the minute.